So in today's video, I'm going to discuss about a problem which faces most scholars who submit papers. And if you submit papers to journal, there will be a point in time when you will get a rejection. And so we look at the issue about why papers get rejected by a journal. So essentially there are two rounds of rejection in a journal. So one is that you may get a preliminary rejection. And so this happens when you submit a paper and within a few days or a couple of weeks you get a rejection. And so this rejection typically happens because of several reasons which have been spotted by the journal staff or editor-in-chief who has produced the paper, and then they decide to send this paper back to you saying that there are some issues because of which it has been rejected. Sometimes at this stage you will be asked to resubmit the paper after correcting these issues, and sometimes this rejection will be final and you will be told to submit your paper somewhere else, and the fact that they do not want to consider your paper further. So let's look at some of the issues for preliminary rejection. The first issue is plagiarism. So typically most journals will run your paper through some plagiarism detection software, and if they find that there is a sufficiently high level of plagiarism, and this may be more than 20% or something like that, then they will essentially reject the paper on the grounds that you have plagiarized material. The second such possibility is that you have done multiple submissions of this paper to journals. So again, this happens because some people do not realize that when you submit a paper to a journal, you should only submit the paper to one journal. And once this journal has rejected the paper, then you are free to submit this paper to a different journal. So this is something to keep in mind, that it is not correct to submit the same paper to several journals at the same time. So this is very important, and if the journal finds out about this, this may happen. And keep in mind that in many fields, the set of people who are experts in a given field are very narrow, and so it often gets known if a person is doing multiple submissions, and the ramifications can be quite negative. The third aspect which they look at is how is your writing in terms of the English you have used, how is your grammar and vocabulary. So again, if you have made grammatical mistakes right in your abstract, the first few paragraphs of your introduction or in the conclusion section, the staff of the journal is going to look at this and realize that your paper may not be up to the mark for journal publication. And this happens because there is a mindset that if you have written wrong grammar and if your English is wrong, then probably your theory, results and discussion are also likely to have mistakes or problems in them. So the paper may not be worth the time of the referees of the journal at this point. So at this point, they may typically send the paper back to you, and they may suggest that you consult certain native speakers of the language, or there are some services which are there to improve the grammar and English of your paper, and you may use these services to improve the language of the paper, because it's very important that the language of the paper be correct for the referees to give their technical input on the particular paper. The next reason is not following format, and this often happens because neophyte researchers do not exactly follow the format in terms of the section titles, the title, the abstract word length, the page limits on the journal, the reference style, and so on. So these are very important to be followed rigorously in any journal, and you need to be very meticulous about that. Now, if you are a LaTeX user or even a Word user, you may be able to get templates for the specific journal, and if you get these templates from their web page, then this particular problem is mitigated. The next reason is not in scope, and this is a very important reason for many papers getting rejected, and it often happens to people who are submitting their papers for the first time. So not in scope happens because each journal is essentially written for the readers, and you need to go to the journal webpage and see the scope of the journal. So that will tell you as to what are the type of papers which the journal solicits and publishes. and your particular paper must fall within this particular scope of the journal. So you need to look at your keywords, your abstract and basic material in the journal, in your paper, including your title, and see if it matches with this journal scope. The next possibility is a weak reference list. So there are people who may submit a paper with very few references, and these references may be very dated, or they may be conference papers and not journal papers. So this is where sometimes they get into a problem. You may also have a reference list which has journals which are totally tangential to the journal you are submitting the paper to. So again, the staff would feel that why are you submitting this paper to their particular journal if all your references are coming from a different set of journals. So again, this is a reason why some papers may be turned down. Of course, they may not mention this particular issue, but again, they may say this is not in scope of our current journal and you may take your paper to some different journal. One more issue is that you have not cited your own similar work in the past. So sometimes what happens is people write a series of papers on a particular theme, and they need to realize that if you have written a paper on a particular theme in the past, then your literature survey should include this paper. Because what the people may think is that you are passing off some of these previous work as your current work. So you need to put your current work in perspective of a previous work in this particular problem. So make sure that you cite your own work which has been a previous work which has led to the development of your current work. So these are some of the reasons for preliminary rejection which I can think of. Now let us look at some of the reasons for the second round rejection. So if your paper clears this preliminary test, then it is sent for review to 2 or 3 referees. And these referees are typically experts in the field. Now, the referees can give 3 types of comments. They can accept the paper without any changes, but this is extremely rare. They can accept the paper with minor changes, and this is very good because you can fix these problems. And then the third set, which is most common, is they accept the paper with major changes. And then the fourth possibility is that they may reject the paper. So now let us look at the situation where they have rejected this paper. So now the reasons for rejections are typically as follows. So first is that you could have a lack of validation. So this is something people look at when they first see a paper, is that if you have a theory or a computational model, you must have some validation with either published literature or experimental data. So if you do not have this, then your results are in doubt. And so there is no way to find out about the veracity of your particular result. So that's one reason for rejection of a paper. The second possibility is you have used an old and stale method and there is no novelty in the paper. So it sometimes happens that you may use a theory which has been in prevalence for 20 years or so, or the last 10 years. And then you get some results and you submit it to a journal. But the journal may find that this is of no current interest to its readers. Maybe this theory was useful or this method was useful 20 years ago, but today it has become a stale approach and so it is no longer used. So again, lack of novelty as far as methods is concerned is one more reason for rejection. The third possibility could be your work is not substantially new or does not add substantial value compared to previous research. So again, this depends on the journal. So sometimes there are people who may develop a method based on a quadratic equation, then extend the method based on a cubic equation, then extend it further based on a quartic equation and so on. Now, if the referees are seeing this kind of development in your research, they may say that these works are just delta changes compared to the previous paper and they may not accept it. But then there are journals which may say that this is a delta change, but it is a reasonable piece of work and they may accept it. So again, this would largely depend on the referees and also on the quality of the journal concerned. Now, the next reason could be you have made mistakes in your paper, and this can sometimes happen that you may do something very complicated and then the results which come out of your paper do not make sense to the referee. So maybe you have made some plots of frequencies and you have shown that as your mass is going up, your frequency is going up. Now, since frequency is stiffness divided by mass, that is not going to take place. So again, that is a fundamental flaw which the referees may spot and they may reject your paper because of this type of flaw. The next reason could be a weak research and development section, and this often happens with new researchers. is that they get too engrossed with the method of work and they do not write out the results and discussion in depth, do not do sufficient parametric studies, do not look at issues such as measurement noise, uncertainty in their problem, and so on, and validation. And these all can lead to rejection of the paper. So I think the results and discussion section being weak is one of the main causes of rejection of papers. The next is weak conclusions. And again, weak conclusions means that your paper may have done some work, but the net result of this paper is not sufficiently strong in terms of publication. So maybe you have done some piece of work and you have come up with some concepts, but none of these concepts are sufficiently novel and the conclusion is weak. So that could be one reason for rejection of the paper. Finally, you could have a very weak reference section in terms of your literature survey being full of holes. So again, people who are experts in the field typically know all the people who have been working in the field. So you must ensure that you have covered the various research groups which are involved in a particular field. So you need not put 5 papers of a particular research group and no papers from 3 research groups. Instead, it is better to put 1 paper from each particular research group because you don't know who are the referees of your particular work. And it makes sense to cover all the different researchers who are working on the problem. So again, this can happen that you have not done justice to this particular set of people who have worked in the field, and that could show that you have not done a proper literature survey and therefore you have not done a proper piece of research. And therefore the novelty which you claim with respect to the previous research is not really correct because you have missed out on some of the research. So again, these are some of the reasons which you get for rejection of a paper. Now it can happen that if you have a major revision, you may get a chance to fix some of these problems. So again, some referees are somewhat benevolent and they may let you make some of these changes in a further revision, and some referees are more draconian and they may just reject a paper at this stage. So in case the referee gives you a chance to fix your paper, then you should make the most of it. He may tell you to validate your results, so you may at that point do a validation of the results. He may tell you to improve your results and discussion section, so you could do that. And so if your paper goes to some good referees, then you may get a lot of suggestion in terms of these problems and you can fix some of these problems. So again, I hope that some of these comments were useful for you and this will help you deal with rejection. So again, remember that rejection is a part of the paper submission process and most journals reject a large amount of the papers which are submitted to them. So some journals have as high as 98% rejection rates and all. So again, it's important not to take rejection in a personal sense, but realize that what has been rejected is your paper and not you personally. And therefore you can go back to the referee comments and all and try to extract from that as much as possible in terms of improving your paper for further submission to a different journal. Or you may even write a letter back to this same journal saying that you have fixed all these issues and you want to resubmit the paper to this journal. So this is also sometimes possible. So you can look at both these situations. So I hope this video was useful for you and stay tuned to my channel for further videos on such topic. Thank you very much.